June 17th was supposed to be just another day in court. Another step in a long, serious trial that's already been called one of the most talked about celebrity cases in recent years. But as the room settled in for what looked like a regular private hearing, everything changed. That's when Judge Arun Subramanian shared a serious warning. He looked around the room, lawyers, staff, court officers, and made a strong statement. One or more people in this courtroom had broken a rule about keeping certain information private. Something that was supposed to stay behind closed doors had somehow ended up in an outside article. He didn't say what the article was or where it came from. In fact, he didn't say much at all, and that made people even more worried. No details, no names, just the quiet realization that someone inside had done something they weren't supposed to in a trial that was already full of problems. This wasn't just another news story. It was a serious issue, one that could ruin a very important court case. And as the judge looked at everyone in the room, it was clear someone might be in big trouble for what they did. Private court hearings are not very common. They're used when something is very sensitive, like someone's safety, important private details, or information that could be misunderstood if taken the wrong way. And when someone ignores that rule, it's not just wrong, it's a big deal. And Judge Subramanian made sure that everyone knew it wouldn't be ignored. If anyone in the courtroom thought this would just go away, Judge Subramanian made sure they knew it wouldn't. His voice was calm, but every word meant something serious. Sharing private court information, he said, wasn't just a mistake. It could lead to real consequences. People could get in trouble with the law. The judge warned that he could launch a full investigation, and anyone involved could face very serious punishment. This wasn't a small warning. It was a big message to everyone in the room. Don't do it again. Then came the part that made the courtroom go completely silent. The judge looked straight at prosecutor Maureen Comey, who is known for being very skilled and organized, and then at defense lawyer Mark Agnifilo, who has defended many famous and powerful people. He told them both, clearly and firmly, that they were each responsible for the people on their teams. The buck stops with you, the judge said. That means if someone on their side makes another mistake, it's their job to take the blame. That's not something judges say very often in public. Normally, they send private letters or talk in meetings behind closed doors, but this time, the judge said it out loud, for everyone to hear. And then, he added something even more serious. He might ask to check people's phones, computers, or other devices. If there's a sign that someone shared private information, he's ready to look at messages and emails, anything that could prove what happened. This isn't just about one trial anymore. Now it's about keeping the court system fair and honest, and making sure nobody, no matter how rich or famous, can break the rules and get away with it. There are times when information gets shared by accident. And then there are times when something private is shared that can hurt a whole trial. In important court cases like this one, some things are kept private on purpose. That's because they might involve very personal stories, people who need to stay safe, or details that shouldn't be misunderstood by the public. These are called sealed or private court records, and they are protected for good reason. In this case, the trial has already included very personal stories, private witnesses, and important messages. Some of this information has been shared only with the judge and lawyers, because it could cause problems if the wrong people heard it too soon. That's why the court ordered certain things to be kept sealed, meaning no one is supposed to talk about them publicly. But now, someone didn't follow that rule. Someone shared something they weren't supposed to, and it got out to the public. Even though the judge didn't say what was leaked, the fact that he stopped everything to give such a strong warning means it was a really big deal. Some people believe it might have been about a well-known person who was trying to stay out of the spotlight, or maybe even a video or message that hadn't been shown in public yet. Others think it could have been a conversation between important people in the case, which might change the way people think. And here's the problem. If the people on the jury, the ones who will decide what happens, hear about this leaked information, it could affect how they see the case. And that's not fair to anyone. That's why leaks like this are such a serious issue. One wrong message, one leaked story, and the whole case might have to start over again. The judge knows this, and now everyone in the courtroom is feeling the pressure. Because once something is out in the world, there's no way to take it back. At the center of this situation is one big question. What did the article actually say? The truth is, Nobody outside the courtroom knows for sure. The judge didn't say where the article was posted, who wrote it, or what it included. No big news company has taken credit for it. But the fact that the judge talked about it in court and used such serious words tells us it was not something small. From what we do know, the article seems to be based on a private court hearing that happened earlier that same day. That means the leak happened very quickly, maybe even within hours. So it wasn't something old that got forgotten or shared by mistake. It was something fresh and private, and someone got it out fast. That's what makes people think it was done on purpose. Because the court can't reveal what was in the article, and the media hasn't confirmed it either, a lot of people have started guessing. Some think it had to do with a secret witness telling a new story. Others believe it was about a message or video clip that was only shown to the judge and not the jury. Some online guesses even say it could have been about a well-known person who was supposed to stay anonymous, but whose name got shared by mistake. That would be a big problem. Not just for the case, but also for that person's safety. And then there are people who believe this wasn't a mistake at all. They think someone might have shared the information on purpose, trying to change what people think, or even to make the trial more difficult to finish. What makes this so hard is that nobody is allowed to talk about the details, so people are left wondering. The public wants to know more. The media wants to report it. But for now, everyone has to guess and wait. And while they wait, the court has to figure out who took something private and let it out into the world. Now comes the big question that everyone's asking. Who shared the secret? This kind of thing doesn't just happen by accident. A sealed hearing is private for a reason. The people in the room are trusted to keep things quiet. So for something from that private meeting to end up in a public article, someone had to break the rules. As soon as the judge brought it up, both sides of the case said they had nothing to do with it. Prosecutor Maureen Comey, who's known for being careful and organized, said it wasn't her team. And defense lawyer Mark Agnifilo, who has worked on many big cases, said it wasn't anyone on his side either. But the judge wasn't satisfied with just, "It wasn't us." He told both lawyers that from now on, they are personally responsible for their teams. If it happens again, even if they didn't do it themselves, they will still be the ones in trouble. That's a big deal. It means the judge is done with warnings. He wants answers. So, who could have done it? Only a small group of people were allowed in the room for that sealed hearing. It could have been a lawyer, an assistant, a court worker, someone with access. Some believe it was a mistake, maybe a new staff member who didn't realize how serious it was. Others believe it was done on purpose, to influence what people think, or to help one side win. There's even another theory, that someone not connected to either team found a way to get the information, like a person working in the courthouse who saw something they shouldn't have. The judge is now ready to do something very serious. Ask people to hand over their phones, computers, or messages to help figure out who did it. That could lead to people having to answer questions under oath, and if someone's caught, there could be big consequences. Because even if they thought they were being clever, leaving a trail of clues behind is hard to avoid. And in a courtroom this important, the judge is ready to follow every clue until he finds the truth. Even though the courtroom is still dealing with the leak, the trial itself is moving forward, and it's now reaching a very important moment. As of this week, the prosecutors are almost finished telling their side of the story. They've been showing evidence, bringing in witnesses, and building their case. Now, after weeks of doing most of the talking, they're just about ready to step aside. That's when it becomes Diddy's turn to respond. His lawyers are preparing to speak for the first time in full. Until now, they've only been reacting, asking questions, making objections, and listening. But now, they'll get to share their side of the story and try to change the way the jury sees everything. But there's a problem. The leak has made the courtroom feel tense and uncertain. Nobody knows if the information that got out will cause distractions or even change how people feel about the trial. It's a big moment for Diddy's team, and now they're walking into it with even more pressure. Some people think Diddy's lawyers might try to use the leak to their advantage, saying the court isn't being fair or that the rules aren't being followed. Others believe the leak could make them look bad, especially if anyone thinks it came from someone on their side. And the judge? He's in a tough spot too. He has to be careful. If he gets too strict, some people might say he's being unfair. But if he lets things slide, others might say the trial isn't being taken seriously. He might even decide to make the rest of the trial more private, closing it off even more from reporters and the public. That could lead to more people asking questions, more online guessing, and even more pressure from outside the courtroom. So now, with the prosecution nearly done and the defense about to begin, the trial is at a very serious turning point. Everyone is watching closely. The choices made in the next few days, by the lawyers, the judge, and maybe even by someone thinking about leaking again, could change everything, because the case is still going. But the trust inside that courtroom is starting to crack. It didn't take long for the internet to start buzzing. As soon as people heard about the leak in Diddy's trial, social media went wild. People all over TikTok, Twitter, and other websites started talking. Some were trying to figure out what was leaked, others were making guesses, and some were even creating stories of their own. Some people online thought the leak might have been a plan by the prosecutors, trying to make Diddy look worse before the defense had a chance to speak. Others believed it was someone trying to help Diddy by sharing something that could get the public on his side. Then came the really creative theories. One person on Reddit said the leak might have come from someone working in the courtroom who got paid to share it. Another popular video on TikTok guessed that the article was based on a private video that showed something important about the case, though nobody has proven that. Still, the video got millions of views. Some fans who support Diddy say the whole thing is unfair, that he's being treated differently because he's famous. Others think this leak proves that he's finally being held responsible for things he's done. But here's the problem. Since nobody knows what was actually leaked, the internet is filling in the blanks. That means lots of rumors, and some of them spread really fast, even if they're not true. And that's where things get tricky. Even though jurors aren't supposed to look at social media, they live in the real world. They have phones, they have friends, and all this online talk can still affect how people think, even if it's not shown in the courtroom. That's why people say this trial isn't just happening inside the court, it's also happening online, every minute of the day. Because in big cases like this, what people say on the internet can sometimes feel just as powerful as what's said in front of the judge. Now that the leak has happened, one thing is clear. This trial has reached a whole new level. What started as a serious legal case is now something even bigger, a battle between facts, fairness, and public attention. And Judge Subramanian has made a promise. He's going to find out who leaked the information. He's ready to start a full investigation. That means people could be asked to hand over phones, emails, and messages. They may have to answer questions under oath, which means telling the truth while being recorded in court. And if someone is caught, they could get into big trouble. In the worst-case situation, the judge could decide to stop the whole trial and start over. That's called a mistrial, and it would mean months of work could be lost. Even if that doesn't happen, the feeling in the courtroom has changed. Everyone is more careful now. The judge is watching more closely. The lawyers are feeling the pressure. And what happens next could affect everything. The jury, the final decision, even the public's trust in the case. There's also another worry. What if this leak wasn't the only one? If someone broke the rules once, could they do it again? And what if more secret information comes out, little by little? That could lead to the judge closing more parts of the trial and letting fewer people know what's going on, making the courtroom feel even more hidden. But no matter what the court decides to do, one thing has already happened. Someone changed the direction of this trial. Whether it was an accident or done on purpose, the leak has left a mark. It's now part of the story, and everyone, from the lawyers to the public, is waiting to see what comes next. With Diddy's team getting ready to speak and the judge launching his investigation, one thing is for sure, someone inside that courtroom broke the rules. And if the judge finds out who it was, there could be big consequences. If you want to follow what happens next in this case, the court decisions, and the final outcome, be sure to stay tuned, because what comes next might change everything. If you want more stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because we're just getting started.